of React, the introduction to React, and how we can use React to build web applications and also build websites. So now we will be diving deep into the concept of React. So having to deal with React states and how how we interact with React to actually build functional web applications. Okay, so using the app we created earlier and all what we used to test our components and our functions and our exports and the rest. So now let's start now by discussing about one particular rule that I think I missed this morning. Okay, so let's say we we have this test that we're rendering here, right? Now let's say somebody comes and creates, let's create this component again. Let's create this function again called test. And it's been returned. And now I create a div here. Okay, so now this is a regular, let's export it. Okay, we've done, okay, let me zoom in. We've done this morning. And now this div is basically the first div after I open my bracket, this parentheses here. And I come here again and I said, okay, I write test. And I come below that and I say I want to put an H1 here. And I say I want to do, let me just say something. Okay, so now it's giving me an error. Even before I even save it, I'm already getting an error here that JSX must have one parent component. So now it is very, very important that when you're creating your React components, pages or functional components, you must always return a single parent, meaning everything that you want to create must be living inside one. So this is a high level and this H1 is also a high level. So the two of them they can't be on the same level like this. So it must be one. So you either have the option of putting this inside here like this, or you can create what we call a fragment. So a fragment is basically just a wrapper, a React element wrapper, then you can use to actually display two parent elements together. So you can either go through this is a way of actually rendering your fragment. So you can see your fragment is coming from React, where you can just come here and declare your fragment. And I can wrap all of this inside fragment, and this is going to work. But now, what is basically this fragment? Like, I had to go and import a fragment from React just to have these two guys sitting on the same level. Fragments are basically just empty wrappers. So when you go into, now we're going to go into our browser and we're going to interact with our console, and I'm going to show you guys how you can use your console to actually understand your flow of development and understand the web in general. So we have this fragment here, and what this fragment is doing is basically wrapping just two guys. It is not a div, it is not an H1. Okay, please zoom in a bit. Okay, is that enough? Yes. This is too much. Okay, so it is not a div, it is not an H1, it is basically just wrapping your components that you need on high level. So let's say you want to return this test and we want to return these two elements on the same level. You don't want one to be inside the other. You just use a fragment. So we went through the long route of having to install a fragment from React. So I'm just showing you, this is one way of actually doing it. Or you can just declare an empty fragment like this. So this is an empty element tag that is not housing anything, but it is also regarded as a fragment that houses these two guys. So you can see now I'm using an open and closing, and I'm using it here without any error. But if I should remove this now, you can see the error is back. It must have one parent. So that is very, very important for you to actually know that when you are creating your component and you are returning it, you must always return one parent element. It can be a fragment or it can be something else. So we have our test here and we have our what? Our something. Something is in H1. That is why it's this big. Okay, so now we've talked about introduction, we've talked about React components, we have used React components, we have installed React, and we have the build function component and rendered inside everywhere. So now let's talk about state props and dynamic functions. So remember I have this my test, this function test, and this my return. This is basically what is being rendered on my screen here, what I'm returning. So that means that I can perform some actions here at the top level here before I get to what I get to return it. So now let me give you an example. Now we're going to start talking about dynamic content. What I mean by dynamic content is, if, for example, if you go to where can I use an example? Yeah, if you go to YouTube, for example, right? So if you go to YouTube and on your okay, let me sign in real quick. So if you go to YouTube now, for example, and you are seeing your homes, your history, your subscription, your like the videos, the channels that you watch the most, and you come here and you see your notification, and you come here and you see your profile. So this is actually holding your name. This is holding your username or your @@ username. Yeah, this is what this is. Basically, what this is a dynamic content. So you are not saying for YouTube has to now go and create different app for everybody just to come and render it. No, we have just one YouTube. But what I see and how I interact with it is very dynamic and it is personalized to me. So I am seeing my name here. I am seeing my username here. I'm seeing my picture here because this is my content. This is dynamic to me. Now we will actually go talk about dynamic content and we're going to start with the basic first of dynamic content while we go into that. We'll start talking about state and props. So like I said, everything that you're seeing on your browser in a component or anything that you're returning from a component, it is just returning this return function here, this empty fragment here from here to here, which is what we're seeing on our browser. But that doesn't mean I can come here and create a new function and I call it onClick. So what we have been doing since we've been creating function outside of that function and every other thing, but I can still perform I can still create some function, perform some action and some permutation here before I get to return my JSX to the browser. So meaning this function, it is only accessible inside this test function. Do you understand? So now I can come here and I can do something like this and I can say I want to call the onClick. So I'm invoking this function now, for example, but I can't go outside of my test function. I want to go outside of it and I want to create a function called list, for example. And I said I want to now return and I want to invoke that's my onClick. It basically does not know where this onClick is coming from. And you can, if you hover on it, it's actually telling you that is of type any. But this onClick, if I save this, I'm not rendering this list component anywhere, so it's not going to throw an error. But this onClick is not this onClick. So this onClick is only for this component, while this one is, if you use this now in your web application, you're going to see an error because it does not know where this one is coming from. But if I lift this function outside of here, so the both of them now, you can see when I hover on it, function is an on-click function that return void. Same thing with this. If I hover on this on-click function that return void. But earlier, while it was inside here, this on-click basically have any. Like it does not know where this is. What is like where is it referencing this on-click from? But if I hover on this, you can see it has local, meaning it is only local to this text function. It is not outside of it. So we should always keep in mind that inside a functional component or inside a component, we can create and do some other permutations before we return our value. So that is where we're going to today. And we're going to start talking about dynamic content. Now, speaking about dynamic content, I just showed you guys now how my name is showing on YouTube, my profile picture and everything. So do I have to come here and say, okay, this is a wrong. Do I have to come here and say, hello, Abdul? If I do this, that means on every single page that I'm going to, I am going to be seeing hello Abdul everywhere, hello Abdul everywhere. But if, for example, let's say Tali logs in, he wants to see his own name, a name that is named for on his account when he was creating his account. He wants to be able to see his name there. So that is where dynamic content comes in and how we interact with dynamic content. So now let's start for example, and let's dive in. I create a constant here. Again, I can create a function here, but I want to create a constant, and this constant is basically just a variable, and I'm saying name, and I'm giving this name to be what? Abdul. Now, name is what is outside of my return element. How does Abdul get rendered on the page? Now, in React, we have something. We have we have how we render dynamic content. So this name is dynamic. This name was not part of the HTML hello world, and I write Abdul here, but it is dynamic because I created a constant here. All I just have to do is to put the variable name here. So when I go to my browser, I should be seeing hello Abdul. So I can come here and change this constant to what? So let's say Tali. If I go back to my browser, I will see hello what? Hello Tali. So it's this parenthesis, it is telling you how you can what? You can display dynamic content on your what? On your web application, both website or web application. Now, this is just an introduction to it. So you can wonder, why am I just naming a variable and I'm giving it Tali? Look at this, for example. This is just an example, like a intro to dynamic content. Look at this, like maybe this name is coming from a database. So I fetch a database and I want this name to be the name of the person that is currently logged in. So name here will be coming from an API. So let's say, for example, if you guys in your JavaScript, you interacted with HTTPS and XMX and all the rest. You make a content to an API call, and this place, it returns the name for you. Now, this name is what you're going to use to return here. So when everybody is logging into that account, they are going to be seeing things that are personalized to them. That is how dynamic content work. So what we have here, we are just naming a variable and we are hard coding Tali here. So what if we want to list names of people? We have multiple names of people and we want to list it. Let's say, for example, we have we want to list five people. So if I come here and I say hello, and let's say I create a p tag, a paragraph tag, and I have like 5 of it, and I want to render different people's name. Let's say all of you now that are in this call, I want to render your name here. So let's just use this as an example. Let's do 3 for now. So if I go back, what I should be seeing now is name. I should be seeing tally names 3 times. So I can come here, I can see hello tally, hello tally, hello tally. But I want to list out the names of everybody in this call, for example. So how do you interact with dynamic content? Like, how do you make a web application? Like, when you create it and when you are developing it and you're building it, you're making rooms for everything to be actually accessible. If you guys understand what I said. So if you guys understand what I mean by that. So now let's dive into the concept of arrays and mappings. So now I'm going to come here. Remember what I said at the beginning. You are only returning this to your browser. So this return is where you're actually returning everything here. That means you can perform any action you want to perform at the top of this. Just keep in mind that there are some rules in React that you need to follow. So now let's clean this tally's name and let's clean this p tag. Now let me create an array. You guys are coming from JavaScript, so you guys should understand what arrays are. So let me do an array with a constant of list of names. Okay, this is an array. And now I want to start listing everybody's name in this call. I have Tally, I have Jethro, I have Aisha, I have who again am I seeing? I'm seeing Islamiat and I'm seeing Ruben. Okay, let's use this 4, for example. Now, this 4 list of names, how do we render it on the page where we can now see hello and it's greeting the 4 people at once without us having to come here and write hello Tally, hello Jethro, hello Aisha, and hello Ruben. On using React, there is, again, you guys are familiar with arrays, and you guys are familiar with all the array method, the push, the pop, the filter, the sort, so I'm just going to use all of that. If you have any question about it, you just ask. But since this is React and you guys have gone through JavaScript, I just want to know that, I just want to have in mind that you guys have gone through it. Now, let's do this now. Let's render everybody's name. We have 4 names inside that array and we want to render it. How do we render it? Now, to render a list, you can now go back to your HTML knowledge. How do you render a list? You use your UL, you use your LIs and all the rest. Now, let's use our ULs to actually render this content. Remember, when I wanted to access the name, dynamic tally name that I created before, I did names. Also, when I want to access other objects or arrays in my JSX, you will also use the parentheses like this. So if you are referencing something dynamic, that is when you will want to use this in React. Now, list of names is an array. If I just come here and I put list of names like this, what do you think will happen? React does not know, HTML does not know what array is. HTML just wants you to give it a return value. Like what your HTML is rendering at the end to your browser is basically a return value. So if I put list of names like this, but now it's having 4 names, what will happen to our application, and how is it going to be rendered? If I come here now, you can see I have Tally, I have Jethro, I have Aisha, and I have what? I have Ruben. So I am seeing the list of 4 names here that I have inside here. This is an array of what? String. So if you hover on it, you can see it is telling you what array it is. It is what? Returning an array of what? Of string. And it is very, very straightforward like this, because each one is a what? Is a standalone of themselves. Array of string, array of string, array of string. Now, Let's change this array of string to now become an array of objects. You guys, again, JavaScript, you are coming from the JavaScript world. You should know what object is. Now, inside this object, I want to have a field that houses a name and also an email. So I have this, and let me create another one. So for the 4 names that I have before, I'm going to create it. I have Tally, I have Jethro, and I have Jethro at gmail.com. The same for Aisha, and I have Aisha at gmail.com. Now let's save this and let's see what we're going to get when we are rendering list of names on our application. As you can see, it now throws an error. And what I said earlier is, when you get an error from your browser or from React when you're developing an application, make sure to read it and to understand what the error is saying. Objects are not valid as React child. Remember what I said earlier. React wants you to, your HTML, what you are returning, it just wants you to give him a return value. Just give him something to actually display. But here, we are displaying an object, and very, very descriptive error. It is telling us that objects are not valid as React child. Error found object with keys, name, and email. If you want to use a collection of children, use an array instead. Perfect. So what this is trying to tell us is that we cannot display an object for React to render on the screen. No, it should be a returned value. When we mean by a returned value, is something that you have already processed. Process in this term is that something you have already permutate, something you already make some adjustment to, and you're now returning that value back to your to your JSX. Now let's understand, how do we display this array to our application. Now we have 3 people's name, and we want to list out their names and their and their email. Again, this is an array, and a method on array is called you guys have done your array method. You have concat, entries, free, field. You guys have basically gone through all of this on your JavaScript class, and we want to use one specific method to actually display this list of all these people. So let's say we have this map function. Again, map from your JavaScript class. What map does is that it maps through all these guys, and it gives you the individual, and it returns a single value of it, which is also still an array, but in a broken down format. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly. So basically, when you're mapping over something, you are mapping over each and every single element inside of that array. So I am mapping over a list of name. I am mapping over 1, 2, 3. So if I have 10 objects now, I'll be mapping over the 10 objects to actually display just one of it. So let's do this now. Let's say list of name. I deconstruct list from it, and now I am this equals to and greater than sign. It is returning. So you can see this, our return that we have before, and with this bracket, this return is basically what is replaced in this guy here. So when I map over it, I am calling on my equals to sign and my greater than sign to actually return that value. Now inside here, I can now write my HTML element. I can write my li. So what basically can I do now? What does this mapping gives me? It gives me the ability to actually, okay, Chuku.
I thought you asked a question.
So?
I thought you asked a question.
No. I'm interacting with you guys. So now I have mapped over list of name, and now I have individual list. Again, what did I say map is? You are mapping over you are mapping over an array to get individual of it. So if this was an array of string, like how we have earlier, it's just going to give me Tally, Jethro, and what? And Aisha. But now it's an object. If I look at this, my list will now comprises of what? Just one single object, which is name and what? An email. So now I want to render everybody's name here. I will do list. Now, if I do list, what am I trying to render? I am still trying to render the what? The object of what? Of list. But I want to I want to return something that can be processed by the what? By this our return folder here. Like I said, objects are not valid React child, just like how we see in that what? In that error. We must return a what? A single value, which now I want to return everybody's name. So if I compile this now and I save it and I go back to the browser, I am now seeing everybody's name: Tali, Jethro, and what? And Aisha. If I come back here and I say, as I have installed, as I have displayed the name, I want to create a span, and I also want to list out the what? The email. So when I do this and I go back to my code, I should see everybody's email just beside their name. So this is how you can interact with dynamic content. This is just an this is just an example. Again, it can be in a separate format. You can be interacting with an API, with a database that is storing your information in the cloud or something, and it is going to return the data for you in this format and tells you to what? Use that data and display it to the user. How you interact with it, the way you display it, and the way you actually make all this. First of all, you store it in a constant. So this array can be coming from a database. We can remove all of this and we can say database dot list of names. This is very, very possible that it is coming from something like this. But for this example, we just created the array here. We map over it. Again, when you're mapping, you are what? Deconstructing a single value of that map. Now we have access to I call it a list. Again, you are not, it's not a must that you name it a list. You can name this anything. I can call it item and I save it. It is still going to work perfectly. What you are deconstructing as your first entity here, it is all up to you what name you give it. So now that is how you interact with with dynamic content. This can be a name of countries around the world, and they tell you to list it in your web browser. All you just have to do is just come here and list all of it. Again, you don't have to write all the countries in the world in an array like this. There can be APIs that give you that interaction, and you use your HTTP to make a call, and you can just use and render it. So you can see how with this three contents in an array, I have just used like only 3 lines to add.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I think he has network issue. Let's just wait for some moment for him to reconnect back.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. A call came in on my phone, that's why.
Yeah, we have been there before. No wahala, boss.
Okay, so that's basically how. Okay, let me share my screen again. So we are sharing a screen. Okay, just make a reaction if all of you can see my screen. Okay. All right, so that's good. So basically, we're talking about rendering dynamic content on the what on the browser. So as we continue, we will now be interacting with a lot of dynamic content, and I expect everyone to understand how it's being what is being rendered. Remember, when you want to render something dynamic, if I come here and I say const state, for example, is a constant, and I say Kaduna, and I save it, and I come here and I say p tag, and I say, okay, display the states that we are currently in, states. So what I will see now is I will see what Kaduna, then the list of people. So going forward, this is how we're going to be interacting with dynamic content, because we have gotten to the section where we will be interacting with dynamic content using states and what props. So this is just an introduction to dynamic content. While we continue the course, we are going to see other ways of what displaying dynamic content with either arrays, with either objects, or JSON files. Okay, so that is an introduction to rendering of dynamic content. So with this basic knowledge, you can now say, I know how YouTube are displaying my name on my own page, and how YouTube are displaying your name on your own site. So when they fetch the data and they store the data in an array or an object, they will come here and display the name that is assigned to the account and every other thing. So it's not like YouTube is creating a page, developing a new application for every single person that sign up with them. It is still one YouTube that all of us are using. But what we see and what we interact with is completely different. So all of that are what we call dynamic content. So this is an example of rendering dynamic content. And now there is a rule that has to do with dynamic content. There are rules when you are displaying dynamic content, but as time goes on, we'll be delving or diving deep into each and every single one of them. Now, what we want to focus on next are what events. So we have been talking about rendering and clicking. Now we want to talk about events. How do we interact with application? When we click this happens. When we go here, this one happens. When we open this one, it opens. How does that work? We now want to interact with our what event handlers. Before I go there, I just hope all of you is you guys familiar with this your inspect tool here, that you have access to your console. So are you guys familiar with console here? Yeah, so I'm getting likes from Islamiat and all the rest. Okay, fine, perfect. That will help us move faster. So now let's talk about click events. How does, when I click on something, it works? And how do I even tell it what I want it to do? How do I start going about that? Now, on a click event, we know basically click event is going to live on a button, but it's not necessarily on a button. It's available on every element. It can be on an li, it can be on a span, it can be on a div, basically anything. So now let's have two different click events here, or let's say three, or let's just leave it at two. So this is a span, this is a div. I'm just giving you an example, so it's not like your click event is centered about one, but in normal React and HTML world, your click event should be a button. When you're clicking on something, you want it to natively be a button and not a div. So let's maintain that rule. It is not, it's also going to work, but let's just maintain the rule. So let's say click me here. Now, when we do button on our JavaScript and CSS, all what we've been doing since we're just doing class name here. But when you click on this, you can see it has a bunch of other attributes on it that you can actually interact with. And when we talk about events, and we're talking about basically all the thing that you can do when you actually are using it. Now, if I start here now, these are basically the properties that are in this button component. But when I come on this on, so this is where most of your interactivity and your events start with. On about capture, on animation end, on aux click, on before input, on blur, on can play, on change, on click. You are basically wondering, do you necessarily need to learn all of this for you to actually use it? And the answer is no. But you need to be familiar with what everything can do. So it's a two-way explanation. You don't necessarily need to understand what all of this. You don't necessarily need to know how to use all of this, but you need to know what they can do. So when you want to use it, you know the method and the property that you can call. So if I want to do something when is on blur, I know I'm calling on blur. If I want to do something on can play, you know that this is how this has to do with some MP3 file or MP4 files. If I want to do on click, this is the one that is currently most used in this property on click. But you have a bunch of others too, on drag, on cut, on drag leave, on hover, on error, basically all the things that you know you can actually do. So now looking at this now, you're not having ideas of, okay, I am seeing on focus. That means if I want to focus on this button, do I use this? I see on input, do I use this? I see on load, on key up, basically plenty methods that you can actually use to actually perform multi-different action. But the most important and the one we're going to focus on is this, our good old on click. So now I have called on click. What happens? When you're calling on an on click, it expects what? Let me zoom this down. Now, it's giving you an error. JSX attribute must only be assigned a non-empty expression. Now, your on-click cannot be empty. If you are using an on-click, you must define something. And what you are defining is a function. Again, if you guys are familiar with the classes this morning and earlier today, we have been creating this. I have been repeating this function on submit, on click me, on. I've been repeating this multiple times. Like, where do we get to use this on submit? Where do we get to use this on click me? So this is one of those use cases, and it's basically on a button to actually perform interactivity. So now I have this button on click me. You have two ways of actually going about it. You either create an inline function or you create an external function, just like how I did here. So now let's start with the first one, which is create an inline function. An inline function is basically without the whole function name, blah, blah, blah. I just come here and I want a function. Give me a function and I want to do something. Let's say I want to console.log. So what am I console.logging? So on every single event, you have the access to actually deconstruct that event from it. So when I hover on my event, it is telling me what the parameter is. The parameter is a mouse event of what? HTML button element. Now let's console.log this event and let's go back to our browser and let's see what we have. So when I come here, you can see this button, click me. But on our console, we basically do not have anything. So when I come back here and I click on this guy now, one, let's go back to our console. You can see something now appears here. Can I zoom into this one too? Okay, yeah, I think I can zoom in. Yeah, so now we have console.log this button action. Now, what this is giving you is a bunch of parameters and what methods based on what action you just performed. So you have an alt key, you have a bubble button, which is a number, you have a cancelable, which is a true, a boolean. You have basically bunch of methods that, again, you do not necessarily need them. You don't necessarily use them for anything, but it is good to actually know what all of them are for. You have your page Y, screen X, your target, your what? Your type. So now this type is what is on a click. Again, these are what was console log. When I perform this action, I did not tell it to do anything. All I just told it to do is to console log this event that I got from what? From this on click function, these parameters here. And I have console log it. And when I click it, it's going to show again there on your console.log. So if I close now, it's now showing 2 times. Okay. So now let's go into console logging actual stuff now. Now I'm going to bring back the arrays that I had before. So let's do a big undo here. Okay. All right. So now I have undo all what I did. Now I have brought back the list of people's name here. Now I want to perform a click on one person. So let's say as I have listed everybody's name here, I want to now I want to have a button beside everybody called click. When I click on it, I want to see their name in my console here. How do I go about that? First of all, again, your click function that we use on the button now, you can either use the button, which is advisable, or you can use it in a div. But let's be consistent and let's use it in a button. So let's say I want to come here now and I want to create a button. So now I have this error. For those of you that joined the class earlier, are you familiar with this error? Give me a reaction. Who is familiar with this error? One person. Only Tally? Noah. Oh, ha! My good old friend. Why am I stressing myself? Noah.
Yes, sir.
I did not know you were here. Oh, yeah, come and take over. Okay, so Noah, can you identify this problem?
Yes.
So what is the problem and what's the solution? First of all, what's the problem?
Let me see. I don't know how to actually say it, but I guess like
Say it anyhow. Come on. Nobody's judging here.
okay.
So what's the problem?
I really can't point it out now.
Okay, anybody want to help him? What is the problem with
I wanted to say it's not within a fragment, but
okay.
I just saw that an empty tag is covering it. So I don't know.
Which empty tag is covering it?
Just below the return, and then
Just
after
below
the
the
UL.
return. This guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
Now
below the UL.
below the UL, which empty tag is covering it?
No, the closing tag of the UL.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do not see the problem.
But it is supposed to be in a fragment because you said earlier that a single element, it only takes a single element. But if we want it to take more than one element, then we need to use what we call fragments.
Yeah. Now I want you to identify why is it doing that. I mean, just like what you said, there is one fragment here. So why is this one not throwing an error for us? I want you to identify why it's throwing an error. If you can point out why, who again can try to show us why it's returning an error? Anybody? Okay, So back again to what I was saying. When you have created your component and you are returning your JXS that you want to render. Now, as I've returned, I have two parent components, my H1 and my UL that I'm rendering to my browser. But now I have put a fragment between two of them here, and two of them are working fine. But now I call this my array of names, and I am rendering it, and it's also giving me this my fragment. Is my fragment here not working? Do I need to remove it? But remember what I said. When mapping over an element, it is returning single. Now, this array, I have mapped over it, and now I have each individual element. This equals to sign and open brackets, and this parenthesis represent a return. It's what? It represents a return. So now let me do this. Sorry. Let's do this now, for example. So now I take this and I've removed it. So now I have mapped over this. Now what do I need to do? If I open a bracket here, there is no error. Like, it's not giving me an error on anything. But can I do a div here and return name? Let's just put a name here. Let's try and save it. Let's see what will happen. Or let's do item dot name. Let's save to our browser and let's go back to our code. Let's see what's going to happen. It doesn't show. Is there any error on our console? No error. But this guy does not show. This is my item dot name does not show. Why? What is the difference between what I did earlier and this one? If I bring that back, you can see that there is a major change, but it's not that you cannot identify it properly. And it's this bracket here. So when you map over something and you want to display what you mapped, like I have mapped over it, now I want to render it to my browser, I can just come here, call this, and what? Instant return. This is what is called and what? An instant return. But again, I can still go back and do this. This will still work. But what do I need to do? I now need to specifically write this what? Return, and open that bracket and paste what I just copied. Now, you can now see that error that it is showing before. Now, it is now telling you properly that this return that you are returning, because list of array are arrays of multiple items, is an array of multiple items. Now, thinking about it now, you will know that, okay, multiple items. That means on every single one, I am returning these guys multiple times. This return, it is what? It is a return just like this return that you are seeing here. But this one is an inline return. This return is returning the whole component, but I have a map here now that is returning it. So basically, the same way that I did this guy, and I put a bracket and I'm returning it, and if you go back to your function, you can see it's basically still the same thing. I have a function, I have test, I open my bracket, and I come down here and I return it. It's basically what we just did here. I open my I have a map, I open my bracket, and I return it. If what we had earlier was what we call an instant return, I instantly return it without me having to put my return keyword. I don't need a return keyword here. See, it's telling me that for me to put a return keyword, it's expecting a bracket, which was what we had before. So the issue with this now is this is a new return that is basically looking like what we had before. So let's do this now, and let's remove this, and let's remove this. Now, this is showing an error. This and this are basically the same thing. This return that is showing these two error here, and this map and this return, instant return. So you guys should be familiar with this instant return because you're going to use it very, very well. And this instant return are basically the same thing. The same way I put my fragment here, that is the same way I will come here and I will put my what? My fragment. No errors again. Everything works. Perfect. If I save this and I go back to my browser, I should be seeing the button, everybody's name, and this button. Now let's give this button, let's write something inside of it. Jethro.
Okay, so now, sir, what you mean is that when we are using the mapping
Yeah.
within the instant return, we need to still put a fragment for it to still work.
No.
Okay.
I did not say
Okay.
you need. I did not say it's a must. I am using a fragment because I have two parent elements. If I pick my button, I remove my button and I put it inside here like this. I do not need this fragment. So fragment is not a must. Dear
Okay.
developer, please complete the necessary. Okay, I think there's a message with you guys for you guys on the attendance form. Okay, Jethro, do you understand?
Yeah. Thanks.
So I just put that fragment because I had two parent what with two parent elements. This li and this button, they are all on the same level, and something needs to wrap both of them. So if I do an instant return and I put everything inside this li, I do not need this one. So this one can go. So I did that because I want these two of them to be here. Okay, now let's continue. Perfect. Now I have, if you go back to my browser, I have this button. Now this button is individual to everybody. Aisha's button has nothing to do with Jethro's button. Jethro's button has nothing to do with Ali's button. But the action that you are performing on every single one is going to be the same. Now imagine you having 16 names here and you want to display all of them and display their button. Do you have to now start going to write everybody's button one after the other? No. All we just did here was use one button for basically every single person in this array. Again, this array can be as many as we want. I can add two names here. Who again do we have on this call? Let me put my good friend Noah. Let's see Aisha, Noah at gmail.com. Let me put Ola. I'm seeing an Ola Inka here, which is my namesake. Let's put an Ola here. And I'm seeing Chuku also in the call. Let's put Chuku here and let's put his email to here. So what this has done is I now have every single person's name, and this button is independent to everybody. But the action that we want to perform now is for what? For everybody. I hope that is not confusing. This click me and this click me are two different things. But when I click on this click me and I click on this click me, what is happening is the same thing. So let's go ahead with that. Now, with what we had before on our click me, on our click button that we console.log, let's do that again. Let's call it a click on click. Now, let's console.log. Let's console.log something. Earlier, we console.log the event, and that is what we got from here. But now we don't want to console log the event. We want to console log everybody's name. So now let's console log everybody's name. Now, would I come here and do items dot name? Okay, I see this is going to work. So if I come here and I click on Tally, if I go back to my browser, I'm seeing only Tally's name. Again, what do I say? Every single button here is independent of each other, but they are all performing the same action. Tally's button, when I click it, it did not show Jethro's name. It shows Tally's name, but that doesn't mean when I click on Jethro, it's going to show Tally's name. It's also going to show what? Jethro's name, as you can see here. If I click on Noah, where is Aisha? Did I remove Aisha from the array? Okay, I was wrong. Let's add that again. Okay, now let's add Aisha. So every single person button is independent of each other. As I'm clicking it, so it is console login, and you can see Tally, Jethro, Aisha, Noah. So now let's not leave here. Let's click on it and let's see it on this our browser. I don't want to go into states, but let's use something that is native to the browser and it's called what? Alert. So let's not use this console.log. Let's use something called alert. And I think most of you will have seen this on most web pages. So alert is that native HTML browser this thing that when you click on it, it pops at the middle here. When I click on Tally, I'm seeing Tally's name. When I click on Jethro, I'm seeing Jethro's name. When I click on Aisha, I'm seeing Aisha's name. When I click on Noah, I'm seeing Noah's name. So on and what and so forth. Again, I'm reiterating this because I want you people to understand. The button here is living inside every single entity here. The action that is performing it is the same, but the result is what is different. So Chuku's button is going to show his name. Again, let's all be familiar with that. So that is just an example of what? Of a click event. Now I want you to just think about something. What else can you use for this click event? Like, what do we want to, as we're clicking, what is the use? Now let's say I have a list of people here now, and Tally is just, I have a list of all the people here, and I want to go into Tally's profile. Meaning when I click on Tally, I want to go into to see Tally's name, to see Tally's job description, to see his profile, his bio, his state of origin, his residential address. I can perform that with that click me function that I perform here. So when I do click me, I can call on a function. I can write a function here that says click that says I want to display Tally's name. So what this function is going to do is just going to return. I can do a function that returns something here, or I can do a function that just concatenates or return. Let's just do name plus email. I don't want to start going into function now, but into function and how to pass props and parameters on function. But as you can see, this is telling me it does not know what name is, neither does it know what email is. So we're going to come into that. Now, this click, I can call it on this, I can replace this alert, and I can what? I can call click. So now let's talk about let's try that. Let's do that now. Let's see how can we do that. Now, this our function, we want to pass something into it. Now it's passing an item. Now this item that we're passing to it, we're calling item.name, and we're calling what? Item.email. So now I am introducing you guys to parameters and props for what? For functions. But we're going to go deep into it later. Now I just define this function at the top. We don't know what this means. I say click and I write item here, and I'm doing item.name, item.email. What does this mean? So now if I come here and I replace this alert with click and I call it, what do you think I'm going to pass here? Because my click function accepts a parameter regardless of the name. It's called item, but on that item you can see that I am referencing to a name and I'm also referencing to an email. That gets to tell you that this item is an object because of this .name .email. If it's just a string or something, I'll just display item. Now let's do this, for example. Let's do this. Now what do I pass here? I just pass the what? The item here. This gets what? This gets compiled what? Successfully. If I go back to our browser, everything is working fine. Now, let's call our good old console.log friend. If I come here now and say, okay, console.log for me, console.log down my function at the top, click. If we go back to our function. Okay, we have some errors here. Cannot read property of what? Of name. Let's clear this and let's see what that error is. Okay, cannot read property of what? Of undefined names. Oh, I don't think I should invoke it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now it is returning we're console logging the what? The function itself. And you can see that function is what? Is returning item.name and also item.what? Dot email. So now this might click me now. This my function click me. When I click on it, we are just what? We are passing these items to this function that is returning both the name and what? And the email back to the what? To the console.log. Let's clear this and let's continue. Okay. Don't have to return the click function. Invoking state. Okay, our state is our function item.name, item.what, the email. Okay, now, so what we are basically trying to do now is when we click on this, each and every single person here, how, let's say hello, exactly the way I have hello here. Now I want to render the person's name that I am clicking on. If I do click me, Tally, click me, I want to see Tally. If I click Jetro, I want to see hello Jetro. If I click Aisha, I want to see hello Aisha. If I click on Noah, I want to see hello Noah. Now we are diving into the what? The world of React states. So somebody asked a question earlier and he says, how can we define states, pass props, and all the rest? Now that is what we're going to do next. So let's just have this empty for now. Okay. Now, if we go back to our React documentation, again, any question about what we just covered just now? Because I have a lot of questions for you guys. Are you guys with me? Yeah, Noah.
So my question is, can we list as many items as we want to have in the box, or is it limited? For
Sorry, come
example,
again.
like I said, can we list as many items that is we want in the box? For example, like the way you wrote item name, item email. Is there a way that we can like further put other items, or is just limited to 2 items?
Now, do not mute your mic. No, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's have an interactive class between this now. Now I have this array and I have this object, name and email. Now Noah says he wants to display something more than no name and email. He wants to display everybody's information. Let's put everybody's information out on the web. He wants to display their phone number. He wants to display their address. He wants to display their state of birth. He wants to display their place of birth, the hospital. So Noah, how do you go about doing that?
Um, I guess is to Same way we wrote their names and emails, I feel like that's the same way we are going to include the rest of it.
So where does that come from? Where do we do that? Yeah.
Let me see. I guess from this place, this ul, that list
Okay.
of names site. Yes,
Okay.
around that. Yes, sir.
So I want to have everybody's phone number here. How do I impute everybody's phone number? So do I come here and say let's put another span? Yeah. So what do I write?
You write item phone number,
Item what?
phone number, phone number.
But it does not have phone number.
Okay. Item contact. Is there contact?
Where is contact coming from? Somebody is raising their hand. Who is raising his hand? Two other people are raising their hand. I can't see who is raising. Okay, tally. Okay, I minimized it.
Yeah, I think first of all we need to include it in the array of objects
Exactly.
before we
So
render.
Noah,
Yes, sir.
you are very, very correct. When you want to add more information to to what we are seeing on the application. Now we have email. Email is telling us is a string, but contact, it does not know what contact is. If I save this, for example, am I going to get an error?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So now that's to tell you that contact should be living inside here for every single person. So contact, I want the contact to be a number. So let's say 089, blah, 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 blah. Same thing, decimal 0. Okay, it cannot start with 0. Okay, let's do that now for everybody. So, Noah, you have answered yourself. So, if you
All right.
want more information about every single person, so you can tally his phone, his email, his own personal phone number. Jethro, email, personal phone
That's
number. Aisha,
phone number.
you said?
That's actually looking like my real phone number.
Oh, I don't learn jazz. Okay, so that is how you actually. So if you want more information about what you want to render, you can add it to your list of array. So if you have a page on your application that you want to render the person's whole information, so all you just have to do, either from your database, you populate the data on your database, or you have a separate file just like this one and you populate it there. Then you come in here and you use it just like this. So any more questions of what we've done so far? Because I have questions for a lot of people. A lot. Let me look at my list of people first of all. They say I should return to my list view tab. Okay. I'm seeing Aisha, Islamiat, Jethro, Noah, Olanka, Tali. Okay. So let me put you guys' name at the back of my head in case. So any question before we start React hooks? So you guys understand all we've talked about so far? We can give a test on this one and everybody's going to qualify, right? Okay, perfect. So now let's go into the world of World of React hook. And let's see what is hooks, because everybody, everything, all the Reacts, we are hearing hooks. What is this hooks and how do we use hooks. What are the most important hooks, the most essential hooks, and the hooks that we basically use day to day? I can see this is not loading, so let's just go into it. So now on this application, on this top side, if I import, okay, let me say I import an empty fragment from React. If I come here and I put my equals to, I can see a bunch of methods that I can get. You can see the fragments that we use. We have suspense, we have components, we have children, we have strict mode, we have acts, clone, create context, create elements, create ref, forward ref, use memo, lazy, use callback, use content. So now hooks. So hooks in React starts from, let me say, this use callback to this use transition. So hooks are basically client-side methods that you can actually use to interact with your web application. And every single one of them has its own use, where you can use it and how you can actually use it. The way you use one doesn't mean that is how you use the other, but you can use them interchangeably and use them within one another. Hooks are very, very important when you're actually developing your React application, and you need to understand them. You need to understand them, understand their rules, how they are being displayed, how they are being called, how they are being rendered, how basically everything about the hooks. And it is few of it. We have use callback, use context, use debug value, use default value, use effects, use ID, use insertion effects, use layouts, use memo, use reducer, use ref, use state. And the most important that as a beginner, you need to understand it is this guy, use state. Now we are seeing this use state. What is use state? How do we use states, and how do we go about learning use state for the first time? So use states are basically, I want to open the explanation from the, I don't know why, is it my network? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know why this React is not opening. Okay, I think that is going to waste time. So let's use our good old ChatGPT friend. So let's see. Okay, let's see. Explain use states in React as for beginners level. Okay, let's do this. Okay, now ChatGPT is explaining what use state is, and it says use state is a hook, again this word hook, that allows you to add state management to your functional component. This our good old brother, our functional component that allows us to add state management to your good old functional component. State refers to the data that can change over time and affect how your components behave or is being displayed. Again, the results that I want us to achieve is this hello here. I want, when I click on everybody's name, I want the name to change to whatever name I click on. So now let's look deep. The use state hook make it easy to keep track of values like user inputs, counters, or toggles. Basic example, use state. So this is what we just did. We import use states. First, you need to import it from React. Good, we did. Then you declare the state variable. Again, like I said, every single hook from React has the way they are being rendered and the way they are being used on your component. So now let's have a good old state here, and let's call our use state, and let's give it an empty string here. Let's say I want to display everybody's name. So remember, the first time that I talked about dynamic content, I came here and I did const name, and I had coded Tali's name here. So these two are clashing with each other. So this one, if I want to do something like this, and I come here and I display name here, let me change this to something. Let me see first name, so it doesn't show that error. Okay. When I come here and I display this here, now what I'm going to see on my browser is only Tally. Why? Because I have hard coded Tally's name here. This is what hello would always be. But the result we want to get is when we click on everybody's name here, we want this Tally to be changing to whatever name we click on. So I talked about dynamic content and how to render it. This is how to render it. But now we want to use our array of names to actually perform that action. So let's go back to our Google Chat GPT and see the explanation. Okay, now I created I did this, a constant. I open this bracket and I say name and I say set name, and I defined my use state and I put empty what? Empty string here. What does this mean? Like, how, for the first time, if you come and you see this, how do you explain this to somebody that is just getting themselves familiar with it? So now, name, this name, or the first item that you destruct from this array. Again, this is how you define your use states. It doesn't necessarily has to be name. You can give this any name, but name is what is going to be rendered. In a nutshell, what is going to be here? Name is what is going to be rendered. This next one, if I hover on name now, you can see it's just giving me string. Why is it giving me this string and it's not giving me object or giving me array? It's because my use state, I give it the default value to be what? To be string. If I change this now to object and I go back and I hover on name, name is now an object. If I save this now, do we have an error? Yes, we have an error. Objects are not valid. We have gone back to our error, this error that we had the first time. Why? Because we are trying to render an object. I just hope you guys are catching up and following, because this is very sweet. So now let's go back to displaying a string, which our HTML recognizes because it does not recognize objects. If I come back and hover here, it's telling me that it is a string. Now, as I hover on this, it is telling me it's a string. Same way I can hover on this one and it's giving me something totally different. React, dispatch, React, set, state, action. You'll be like, as a first timer, what is this? How do I work with this? How do I go about defining what I want for this? Now, when I come here, again, count is the current state value starting with 0. Now, for this ChatGPT example, it is using number. And if we use this and we hover on this counter, it's going to give us a type of of number. And you can see the way count is being used here. We just render it because it's is something that our GXS understand to actually render to our browser. While set count, it is the function you call to update the count. Now use this explanation and that terminology on our own example. Set name is the function that we are going to call if we want to update this name. Perfect, self-explanatory, straight to the point. Now, how do we do this? Again, we have an inline function that we just call an inline function, and when we call the function, we can now call our set name. Now, when we call a set name, we expect to pass what we define here. So if I define an object here, this set name is expect to receive an object. You can see this object here. That also change name to be to be object. Now we are going to use 2 examples to actually explain this so we all understand it. understand it properly. But for now, let's just start with the basic, which is what? A string. Now, I want to set name. Again, ChatGPT explanation tells us that set name or set counter is the function that we call to update this guy here. So now, what do I want to render here? Is everybody's name. I just come here and say item dot name. When I call this and I go back to my browser and I go back to my use state, when I click on tally, I see what? Hello tally. When I click on Jetro, I see hello Jetro. When I click on Aisha, I see hello Aisha. When I click on Noah, I see hello Noah, Olayinka, and what? Chuku. So state is what? Is what you use to update your what? Your components using this what? This this explanation. Use state is a hook that allow you add state management to your functional React component. State refers to data that can change over time. What we just did now, this our data is changing over time as we are performing this action. As I'm clicking it, it's changing. That's what happens over time and affects how your components behave or is being displayed. This is the one we are currently looking at. We will look at behave later when we dive deep into proper state management. But for now, we are working with what? Displayed. It is this action, and that's my state. It is telling me how my what? My component is being displayed. Because if I reload this page now, I am not going to see what? Anybody. Nobody is there. When I come here and I now start clicking, Tally, Jetro, Noah, Olayinka, and what? And Chuku. But what if I want something to show here when I come for the first time? Now, there is what? That is where you will now introduce use effects. But I'm just giving you guys what use effect is. We are not done with use states, but use effects, again, we're going to go to ChatGPT to understand the explanation of what use effect is. But for now, let's just stick to use states. Now, I have done that. I have displayed the person's name. I have set their what? Their action. But this my code. I don't like the way it's looking like this. I don't like the way this one is being handled inside here. Why? I don't. This is not developers quality. That is the term you get to start hearing when you're in the developers world. This is bad code. Exactly. This is bad code. This is wrong code. As a developer, you should not be writing this. Now let's create a function. Let's say on click. Now, this is our function. Again, what we did earlier is we just returned the item.email and item.name. Now, this function, we want to use this function to what? Set our what? Our name. Now, this our onClick function accepts what? A name. Again, this is a what? A parameter that you are passing to this what? onClick. Whatever you define this function as is what the parameter is going to be. Let's go down there to actually talk about that properly. But for now, let's do this. Now, I have removed this my inline function. I don't like the way this is looking. I call my onClick. I do this. So now let's go back to our application. Now there is no name here. Let's reload the page. Let's know that that is the default state. So there is no name here. But I click on this. Now I have an error. And it's telling me that, again, object is not what? React. Let's go there. And let's look at the issue. Who can identify the problem? I think I'm looking like anybody that can identify this problem is actually worthy of a gift. Somebody somewhere. How many people are on this call? I have 6 people here. Who can identify this problem while our error? Chuku?
Okay, I want to try.
You said
I want to try.
you want to?
I want to try.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, on the function, the on click function. Let's start from there.
Yeah.
Okay, the on click
This
function,
one.
that place we add set name. I think
Okay.
um let's use the parameter of set item there, and we'll access item dot name inside the set name. You understand me?
Okay. Yeah. Now let's try what Chuku just said. Item dot name. Let's save it.
So
Let's
if you
come back.
come to no, not yet.
Okay.
So if you come to the button on click button, you
Yeah.
pass in the parameter of name. So
We
an
pass in the parameter.
argument of name inside that place of item.
We
I
do
think
item
no.
like this.
Yes, item. Let's
Huh.
check if it will work.
Chuku, will this work or will you break our application again?
I don't know.
you don't know. I'm following what you are telling me now.
I'm just guessing. I haven't tried
Okay.
React before.
So too many re-renders. We have another error. So this does not work. Who can try again? But Chuku,
I'm with you, sir.
you are actually correct. But I just want to point out that the error is not what we are doing error. It's how we are calling this function. Again, on click button, that inline function that I cleaned earlier is now what I'm doing now on this on click that I'm calling here is I am calling this function immediately this page loads. I only want to call it when I click on this button. So that means I have to what? Define a parenthesis here, and I have to do this. And I save this. So the difference between this and what we had earlier is you are telling this elements, this button elements, that okay, as this test component is loading on the page, call this on click. But you only want to call on click on, I think this name is on button click. Let's rename it. It's clashing with the name of our method. Let's do this. So now we have this on button click function, and we are calling the function immediately the component renders here, which is what making our app to break, and it's telling us too many renders. Like I said, React has a lot of rules that you must follow. It is not even negotiable that you want to pass through it. You must understand those rules and you must follow those rules. So if we do this now, and we are calling this function only when this action is being performed, when we click on this click me, that is when we want to perform what? This functional what? Action. So when we come here, there is no error again. Now let's go back to Chuku's explanation. And Chuku said I should change item to item, and I should assign item dot name. So if I go back and I click me, and you can see it is what? It is perfectly working. It is what? It is perfectly working. Let's break it down. Now, we have a function. Before we were writing an inline function to do that, but now we separated it into a function. And our function is accepting an item. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be item. I can call this list. But as a developer, you want your naming convention. Naming convention is also very, very important. You want your naming convention to be what? To be uniform and to actually make sense. That is just the baseline of it. It should make sense so that if another person is reading your code, they understand what it is. So let's go back to item. Don't think item here is because of item here. I can change it to list. I can save. I can come back here, and it's still going to work perfectly. So don't think because of our mapping that we call this one item, meaning we have to call this the function item. What this just means is the parameter that we are passing to it. What it just wants is this list and whatever you are passing here, they must be what? The same. The same way I'm calling list.name is to tell you that in this item, there must be something called what? Item.name. So Chuku's example is very, very what? Correct, and is very, very straightforward. But that is making our item here and our function become a what? An object function parameter that accepts a what? An object. So for now, let's just change it back to just accept only what? The name. So what changes here now? This is an object, but we want what? Just the name, which is a string. We just need to do our what? Our dot name. So when we call this, and we call this on our state, we have the same what? Action, the same functionalities. Basically that. So now we have that. Now let's use this. Let's create another state, and let's use this one from ChatGPT. And this one is called a counter, that is called set counter. Again, you are not limited to the amount of states you can have. You can have bunch of what? Of states. So let's create another H1 here. And let's render counts here. So what should I see on my screen now? As I render count here, is what? This default value for the state, which is what? 0. So you can see it here. I'm seeing 0. But now I want to what? Programmatically increment this count what? Figure. Again, I can decide to put it inside this array, or I can decide to make it stand alone. Now let's come to the bottom here and create a button, and let's call it increment count. Again, the same thing that we did. Let's do on click. Let's do an inline function, and let's set our what? Our counter. What do we set our counter to now? Islamia. Good afternoon, ma. Islamia, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma.
Yes, sir.
Ma, have you been following us since?
Yes, sir.
Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
I'm not hearing you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, ma. So now, what we did earlier is we set our name to everybody that we click. But now, I want to set this count to what? When I click on this increment count button, I want this my count to be adding by 1. Miss Islamia, do you know how we can achieve that? Remember, for us to display somebody's name here, we use this our function to pass the name to this set name that is now being passed here, that is now being rendered here. I just want you to understand the pattern. We have a count here. Now we want to increase this count by 1 as we are clicking. So what do we pass inside this set count to increase our count by 1? Ma?
Can we use I plus plus, something like that?
I plus plus?
Yes, sir.
We are going to for loop. Where do we get I from? What is I? If I say I plus plus here, what is I? We should be
I will indicate the item.
I will indicate the item. Continue.
And the plus plus will be adding the. It
Okay.
means it is increasing the count.
Mrs. Islamia, you are a guru.
Sir?
I say you are a guru. You are very, very good. Do you write Python or Java?
No, sir.
You are right. You are bringing Python, or you are bringing for loop inside here. But you are very, very, with what you just said, it means you have an idea of how to make increments when you are when you want to increment something. So that is
Yes,
very,
sir.
very, you are definitely on the right path. But now when you want to do your I plus plus and your whole loop is when you are inside a for loop and you want to like increment it. Maybe you're using a Python or you're using a normal JavaScript for each or a for loop or something like that. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So this is now a new world of use states. Now we want to set this number here. We want to increase this number by 1. And now we are calling on this our set count. The same way we did our button that we are changing everybody's name, we are passing their name to this name that we are passing it here. We also want to do the same. When we call on this set count, we want to increment this our count by 1. So Madam Islamia, she was on the right path, but she's more of a Python lady or a JavaScript lady or a Java lady. So now, how do we increment that by 1? Let's not waste any much time. So let's go back to our old friend ChatGPT here. Let's look at the definition that he gave us. Now, increment by 1 when a button is clicked. The initial state is is 0, which we are seeing on our screen, and it's telling us to increment by 1 when a button is clicked. Why do we need to call count again inside here? Why are we not just writing 1 like this? Why is ChatGPT saying we should do this? Again, okay, Tally. Tally, are you hearing me? Hello, Chuku. I don't think I can hear Tally.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think the reason why we should do count plus 1 is because if you look in our HTML, we set the initial value to be count, and on the use state, the count there is actually we initialize count as 0 on the use state. So we are actually incrementing the 0, which is the count. So
Okay.
each time we click on the button, it will increment the count, and we'll pass the count inside the HTML. That's it.
Okay. All right. So that is a wonderful explanation. So we can test this out now, and let's increment count. As you can see, our count is basically increasing as we are as we are clicking on it. But now let's dive deep into why it's actually like that. Why, if I set 1 here, what will happen? If I say 1 here, what will happen? It's basically just 1. If I click on it again, it is still 1. If I keep clicking, it is still going to be 1. Now, remember what I said. Use state. We use use state here to set a name. Now we are using use state now to increment a count. It's all based on what you want to use it for. If in my application, I want to do when they click on this button, okay, I want to say change to 1. This is very, very descriptive to my to my users that are using my application. That okay, I have a default value here of 100, and when they come here, they see 100 and they see this button that says change to 1. When they click it, it changes to to 1. It is actually doing what this button is saying. But when I come here and I say increment by increment by 1, as a layman, you should know that when you click on this button, if you reload the page now, to go back to 100. When I click on this button, I want to increment this by 1. So what I should be seeing here is 1, 1. But when I click it and I'm seeing 1, it's like, okay, this is wrong. This application is not working very well. That is what a user is going to tell you, because that is what you actually told it to do. But it all depends on your use case. And our use case here is we want to increment this count by 1. What this count is, it is taking this default state that we already have, and it is adding 1 to it. When we click on this button and we add 1 to it, this becomes 101. It is not only this guy that becomes 101. This guy also becomes 101. When we click on it, it becomes 102. Now, let me add another button. And let me say decrement by 1. What does this mean? Basically, the same thing. Add by 1, subtract by 1. It is very, very straightforward. If I reload the page now, it's now going to go back to 100. This should what? Add it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 105, 106, 107. What this is doing, why it did not go back to 1, is we took we capture the old state, which is what was there before, and we what? Increment it by 1. Immediately we click on this button, this one changed to 101. We click on it again, it changed to 102. We click on it again, it changed to 103. The same thing is going to happen for the decrement. I click on decrement, it go back to 105. Click on decrement, it go back to 104. This guy captures this 104, and when I click on it, go back to 105, and you are just playing around with your plus and minus. So state, it is very, very important in what? In our React journey. You need, it is not one of those things that they tell you that, okay, learn it if you want. You need to learn it, and you need to what? To understand it. You need to understand how it's being used, how you can apply to it, how you can render it, how you can format it, and what you can do with what? With it. We have 2 examples. This one we use to set name. This second one we use to set number. That doesn't mean you cannot have another one to use to open a sidebar, or you cannot have another one to use to close a sidebar, or you cannot have another one to use to change a color, or you cannot have another one to use to go to another page. It is all what you are using it for. So use state, it is not saying, okay, if somebody asks you what is use state is used to set name. No, it is not used to set name. It is a hook that you can use. If we go back to our React, our ChatGPT explanation, you can use to add state management to your functional components. State refers to the data that can change over time, affect how your component behaves. Now, this is where we are going to go to next. Behaves. How does it behave? What we're doing since is how it's being displayed, how we are seeing it, how we are interacting with it. The use take makes it easy to keep track of value like inputs, counters, toggle, and all the rest. So we have been working with display. What we are going to focus on next is what? How it behaves. When I click on a button, I want to open something. When I click on the button, where can I use any example for? Exactly. So this our YouTube. When I click on this, it opens this dialog that loads my notification. When I click on this one, it closes the sidebar. When I click on it, it opens the sidebar. How does all of this work with each other? How do they interact with one another? It is all with the use of use state. For a beginner's level, you need to understand what use state is. And for now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take questions for what we've done so far. So we started with understanding fragments. We started with we continued with dynamic rendering, and now we have talked about hooks and use states. We've talked about function, how you can declare function on a click button, and how you can go ahead to make that work. So let me get a drink of water and let's take everybody's question. If you have a question, just get it ready. I see everybody. Okay, I see we are few now on the call.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Eniola.
Yes, sir. Please, I really don't have any question. I just want to ask, when are we getting the recordings of this morning class? Because I didn't
I
attend
think
class, so I just want to know when we are getting the
I
recording.
think you should message in the community group. Maybe your admin is going to reply you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. We will try to upload the recordings by the end of the day. At most, by the end of the day, we try to send the recording links with you guys, because since what we did today in the morning session is totally different from the afternoon session,
Afternoon.
and the morning session depend the afternoon session depend on the morning session. So we'll try to make the link be accessible with to you guys as fast as possible by the end of today. So
Thank you
thank you.
very much. Thank you.
Okay, no more questions. Okay, if there are no more questions, I have questions for you guys. Jethro, are you with me?
I'm with you, sir. I'm with you.
Now I want you to share your screen and I want to see your VS Code.
I'm not on my VS Code, sir. I'm using my phone. But I can
Okay.
just rush and share my screen. I can get my system and do that.
Oh, I thought you were. Who is on their screen here? Who is on their laptop here? Just raise your hand. Miss Eniola, are you on your laptop?
Yes, sir.
If you're on your laptop, can you share your screen and can you have you installed React before?
No, no, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So we will need somebody that install React.
That's why I'm
Yunus,
asking for the morning section class. I don't know.
Yunus.
Yeah, I want to tell them about something, like for anyone that hasn't installed the necessary installation on their machine, you can just simply use code sandbox on an online IDE that they can just use to kickstart or show you whatever they want. To to start a new sandbox GitHub code, where you can just on your browsers search bar, you can just write react.new. It will direct you, it will go direct you straight to a already made React component that you can just start styling from there. That's just what I want to say. Thank you. React.new. You can just type it on your browser now. It will direct you to that page.
Okay, Jethro, are you going to be on your laptop soon or we can just continue?
Yeah. I've gotten it. I'm trying to set it, then I'll share my screen.
Okay. Do you have React installed or you can use what Yunus suggested and use a code sandbox with React.new?
Okay, let me use the code sandbox. I don't have React on my system. Okay, so I would like to share my screen. Are you there?
Yeah, you can share it.
Eunice, am I in the right place?
Yes, yes, you are in the right place. You can just fork the template. Yes, this is it. Every necessary thing is installed for you.
Okay.
But to interact with it, I think you have to sign in. But let's try interacting with the code and see first. Sha.
Okay. So, sir, I'm here. I think I'm set. You see this one?
Okay. Jethro.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I want you to create two separate components. One component I want you to use to render Phytech, and the second component I want you to render a state that changes Phytech to React.
Awesome.
Mhm.
uh, so let me not waste your time or waste our time, or I don't think I can do that comfortably.
You don't say that. Don't say that. I gave you two tasks. So start with one. The first
Okay.
one is straightforward. Render Phytech. So where you have hello sandbox, replace that hello sandbox with Phytech, but make it a component on its own.
Okay. Okay, it's telling me to sign into folk and edit this.
Yeah, that is what Yunus is telling you.
Okay. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
we are seeing your screen. Can you just this thing that is telling you to try again so that it will reload. You can see what you are doing. If it's not working, I think it's your network issue, but you can just continue with your code while if there's any error, we'll tell you. Just continue writing your code for now.
Okay. So it will not have an effect on what I'm doing.
No, you are supposed the other side part is supposed to like preview what you are doing, show you the live
Okay.
load.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. But your network is probably the issue or the code sandbox. But just continue writing your code. If there's any error, we'll tell you. just continue with what you understand about the question.
Okay. So, sir, you said I should render.
Create two components.
Okay.
One is to render Phytech, hello Phytech, and the second one is a button that changes Phytech to React. Hello Phytech, hello React. As you're clicking it, you should be changing it to React Phytech, React Phytech.
Okay. Please, I need guide. I need ideas to do this. I'm not fully balanced in this. That's to be honest. So
We all started today. You started React today. I also started React today. So
no, no,
let's
no, no.
know what.
Okay. No, okay. I know we are supposed to have a function. Then
Mhm.
is it
Okay, Jetro.
putting,
So
yeah,
we spoke about if you look at the left hand side, you can see your SRC folder.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what we are seeing app.js and what index.js.
yeah.
So I said create a new component to actually display hello Phytech, right?
Okay.
So that
Yeah,
is where you want to start from. So go to
okay,
your SRC folder, create a new component. Look at it at the top. Just yeah. So give the component a name.
okay,
You can't have two names. Just know that you can't have two names.
am I good to go?
Yeah, sure. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
What do you want to do? What do you think? Do you think is okay, or do you want to change something else?
Okay, I think should it be JSX or something?
Again, based on today's explanation, what do you think?
JSX, because we are
Mm.
in it, we are putting our, that's where we can put our HTML and other stuff.
All right, go on. Just so you know, you can put HTML2 in JS, but go on. You're right. Okay, click on enter. It did not create.
Yes, I think this thing needs to fully run before it can.
Yeah, so you need your school sandbox needs to
Yeah,
fully install everything.
yeah. And I'm having, my internet is intact. I'm not having anything.
I'll reading the entire page and let's see if it will work. Sorry, I said you should try reload the entire page. Let's see if it will work.
Okay, let me reload the what?
The entire page, the page, reload
Okay,
it and let's see if that will solve the problem.
okay. I think it's working now. Okay, so Eunice, I think is said now, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can go on, create your
Okay.
function.
Okay. Function. Okay. Eunice, you are the only person that can help me. I know you will not tell me anything, so let's do it together.
Just keep going. If there is error, we are all learning together. If there is error, you it will make you understand the error better by failing.
No, don't
So it's
don't just. Are you hearing me?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Are we call on somebody to chip in? So I will call on. I think the only people here are Islamiat, Stanley, and Gloria with Chuku. Chuku is already giving you hints in the message box, but I don't think you can see that. So if you go back to your app.js and see the way the function is being created, so what is different from your own?
Okay. 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 Let me go and try. Okay.
Again, just like how I said, if you are practicing and you're stuck, always go and check. That is how you get familiar with it. Don't, if you are struggling to try and remember, yes, you are going to remember some parts, but some parts that is giving you problem, just accept defeat and go and check. There is nothing wrong in learning. This is a very, very, this is a new transition. When we self starts, it was hell. Jethro,
Sir,
are we hungry?
I don't have the basic or fundamental knowledge about it. That's just the truth.
Okay. You are moving very, very slow. I'm asking what's going on. But go on. Okay.
Uh, so I think I've created the function hello tech.
Okay. So put it on the page. I want to see that hello sandbox. I want to see hello tech. That is what would tell me that you have done it. You are saying you have done it with your mouth, but let your browser say it too. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go.
I think I'm stuck. Oh.
So where this hello sandbox start editing to see some magic? Where is it? Where are we seeing this? Where is it happening?
Okay, we
You're
need
right.
to import. I think we need to
Okay.
import
Yeah,
from
it's like a magic. It will keep coming to you one by one. Don't worry.
import. Okay.
No, no, no. This is a function that you want to render on your app.js. You need to export this one. And
Okay.
one
Yes.
important thing is you have not given your function a name. So what are you exporting? Yunus? Yunus, are you there? Okay, go on. Jethro, go on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
I say you should pay attention to your the name at the top, the name of the folder that you created. You can see that it's showing red line, which means there is error. So you
yes,
Yes.
pay
I know.
attention to that too.
Choco is giving you Choco wants to
I
be what
cannot I cannot see it. That's the
I
issue.
know, but okay. Let's bring Chuku on the call.
Okay, okay. Hey.
Why are you cleaning it?
Okay.
Why did you clean it? Uh-huh.
To
Default.
app.js.
Export default. Go on. Space. Export space. Default. The component name. The name that you defined on line 1. Name. Yeah. Okay. So now, how do we render it on this Hello Sandbox? Is a big Mrs. Islamiat, I want you to come in and work hand in hand with Jethro. Miss Eniola, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
So I want you to tell Jethro, stay where you are.
Okay.
So Mrs. Eniola, what does Jethro need to do next?
Wait,
It's
I want
coming.
to ask, what are we even doing?
Oh. Chuku,
I just want to know now. What's the question? And what are we doing?
Can I see the?
He's trying to display Hello Tech in place of Hello Sandbox. So we want to render Hello Tech, this component that he has created, in Hello Sandbox. So Chuku, you can come in.
Okay, I think inside the Hello. Okay, is it under it or we just
replace it? I want to replace it.
Okay, we want to replace the Hello Sandbox with Hello Tech.
Yes, this Hello Tech that he just created.
Okay, so the thing is, we actually inside the. Let's go to the other file.
Which
file?
We
want to import it. Yes.
Which file is that? What's the name?
What's the app.js? I think app.
Okay. Jethro, is it coming to you now?
Yeah.
Okay, the class
all we need is a little push.
So yes, we now import the
no,
JT.
Leave
no,
this.
you don't need to click. You don't need to click it.
Go on.
Okay.
Mrs. Lamiat, are you talking?
We are going to import
JT.
Import what?
Import JT. That's what we'll do. From
what are we importing?
We'll import the function which is name from JT.
Exactly. You need to import the name of your function. Clean this first and import name.
Import name.
When you write name,
it's even import name from
autocomplete.
Where am I? I'm not getting you.
No,
Clean
import name.
Now write name.
Yeah, because we are importing as default. We don't need to impute any parentheses.
Exactly. Click on it.
Click on it. Yes, autocomplete.
So now you have name. Now what is next?
Okay, the next thing now is inside that HTML, we will will clean the hello and now pass in the name inside there. I think something like that.
Jethro, are you good with that?
Yes, let's pass in something like that. Let's pass
just the name.
No, we'll pass the name as we open something like this thing and pass it. No, not like that.
As what?
Open a new element and pass in the name. Normal HTML element. What would I call it? I don't know the name. Big.
Your less than sign.
The less down sign.
Punch your less than sign.
Yeah,
The less.
less than sign.
Tally, can you mute your mic, Tally?
Less than sign. That's what
Tally, your network is
Obed.
rowdy. Can you mute your mic?
Yeah. I say the less than sign. The less than sign. As if you are
Sorry?
creating a new HTML element. As if you are creating a new HTML element.
Okay.
Yes, the less than sign.
Okay. Less than.
Let me type it.
Yeah. Why did you clean it? Do it again.
Right name.
Type name inside it. That's what I mean. Something
Let me
like
close
this.
it.
Give space. Give a space. Right? Go back.
Go to the message box. Chuko has sent it for you there.
Okay.
But what will happen? What you guys are doing now is okay, but render it, let's see. Now you're going to have two hellos exactly. So what I said you should do is remove the H1 completely and just render name there. So what you're going to do is now remove H1 hello and the closing H1, just leave name and start editing to see some magic. That's what you're going to do. Now remove clean. Yeah, clean all of that. Also clean the H1 closing tag. Perfect. Good. So now I said step 2, create another component that has a button that changes Phytech to React. Are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm thinking.
Now, just to give you a hint, what I'm asking you to do is part of our next topic, but we have talked about it briefly in what we have done so far, but we have not gone deep into it. So let me not waste enough time. So now, go back to your JT. In this component, now create that state in this component, a button that changes Phytech to what? To React. When you click on the button. Before we go on, I am seeing a new name here. I've not seen Gloria Ashley before. Good evening, Ma. Miss Gloria, good evening, Ma.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ma. Are you just joining?
Something like that. I've
What?
been away for I think a week or two.
Oh.
Yeah.
So do you know what we're talking about today?
I've been following. You are talking about React.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
What?
actually on mobile at the moment. I've
No,
not
it
really.
doesn't matter. Okay, you have not been
Okay.
seeing what we're doing.
Yes, but I've been
Oh,
following the audio. I'm not too
okay.
close to my laptop yet. That's why.
Did the audio explain something that you understand so far? Or you
Mhm.
need to see what we're doing?
The two are actually very important.
Okay. So if I ask you to
Yeah.
join Jethro now, are you familiar with what I asked him to do?
No.
No. Okay. So
Let me
I
open.
I
Okay.
have your name in my black book. I'm going to see you
Oh God.
on Thursday evening. By
Okay, I
then,
have a lot to catch up on.
I want you to watch the recording and you're going to start the class. Thank you, Ma. You can mute your mic.
Okay. All right.
Okay, brother Jethro.
I'm sweating, sir. I cannot. Somebody should help me.
There
But
is
what do you
light.
ask me to do?
There is light in Nigeria.
I'm
Import
sweating.
use state.
What's the question?
Chuku wants to go to the Chuku wants to hit the nail on the hammer.
To
Chuku,
import,
go on. Oh, is it Tali that is talking?
yes, import use state from React.
Okay. So Jethro,
Sir,
What's the question, sir?
Tally.
I said it should import use state from React.
Okay. Before or after the function?
Before the function.
All right.
Jethro, your imports are always at the top. That question is wrong. Imports are always at the top of the file. You cannot import below the file. You understand?
Yes,
Use
sir. Okay.
give space. Let there be space between it and the function.
Sir?
Let there be space between your use state, your imported use state and the function. Let there be a space. Yeah. And then create a variable.
Okay.
Put it in an array, like in a square bracket. I think am I wrong? Put it in a
What's
square.
the
You are using the right terminology. Create a variable. Create a variable. Go on.
name of variable, please?
Give a space. Then open an angle bracket. Open an angle bracket.
Okay.
No, the arrow beside P. Look at P on your keyboard. The arrow beside P.
Yeah. Then write and give it any name like update name.
That is the wrong parenthesis. Look at the key beside P on your keyboard.
In simple term, use bracket.
Bracket.
Okay. Then give it a name like update name or something like that.
Are you guys sure we are not doing anything wrong?
Then comma. Then like update state or something like that.
Set.
Set test. Set test.
Set name. Name. Then leave the bracket equals to. No, front of the bracket then equals to. Then equals to, give it a space and write use state. No. Write use
Let
state.
me write use state.
Yeah. Then curve bracket.
Sorry?
Give it a curve bracket.
This same?
No, curve.
This?
No, not curly, curve.
This?
Yeah, then write an empty string. Just double quote. Yeah, that's it.
Again, are we sure we are not doing anything wrong? Chuku, what is wrong here?
It says invalid hook call.
Yeah. What is wrong with what we're doing? Rufai,
Is it that we should?
are you hiding?
Is it that we are going to put the variable name inside the curve bracket or this square bracket? I don't know. I think that's where the problem should be coming from.
I am referring to Rufai. Rufai, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Rufai, what's our problem? How do we solve it?
I'm just joining. I'm just joining.
You're just joining.
Yes. I'm just joining.
Okay, you can mute your mic.
I'm unable to join afternoon class. I complained to this thing.
Or variable inside the quality.
So
The com-
the use, I think the problem there. Let's create the use case supposed to be inside the component. I think.
So Jethro, cut all of line 3.
I'm put it inside
Cut line 3
the component, something like
and
that.
put it inside after
component.
function name.
After function
name.
Yes.
Now put it there. Continue. You guys continue.
Okay.
Okay. So now, what's the question? I got log out.
Inside the return, just create a button. Put
But
your
before you create a return, you must add a container before you create the button.
Yeah, before you create the this thing, add an empty container.
Are you guys sure
Charlie.
you're not confusing Jethro? Jethro, are you with them?
Let me type it on the comment section.
What are we calling it? Are we calling it container? We are calling it fragment.
Okay,
Fragment.
Sorry.
Okay, so where should I put the fragment?
After the return.
Okay.
My network is bad. I'm kind of lagging behind. I don't know. Copy your hello world and put inside of it. Your H1. No, only your H1. Only the H1, not the return.
Jethro, check the message box.
I sent you something on the comment. You can check it. Jethro.
Sir?
You don't need to create a new return. Check your comment section. I sent you something. It's within the same return. I sent you something. Just go there.
Okay.
That last one. You get it?
Yes. Where should I paste it?
Paste it in that return. So delete that return and paste that one.
Okay.
You get? Yes, that one. Delete that one and paste.
Like I should delete all this.
Yes, something like that. And paste it. So now inside the H1, you can now enter the text you want to display there.
Hello, Phytech.
Something like that.
Here we'll put click me.
Yes, click me.
Yeah.
So what's the instruction? I didn't get the instruction.
When we click on the button,
Yes.
then Hello Phytech should change to what? What did
Change
you
change to what?
React.
Hello React.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so what we'll actually do, I think we will, first of all, we will create, let's say,
A
we will
variable
create
name.
a variable at the top. We create a variable at the top, not that top, inside the component,
Sorry, component. Sorry.
inside the component. Let's create it after the use state. We will create a variable of file tag.
Sorry.
I said we create a variable of file tag.
Okay.
Well, I'm a bit confused. I like the
What you guys just need to do is just when you click on click me, PyText should change to React. That is all.
yes.
When you click on click me, PyText should change to React.
Okay, create another function. Create another function. Name on click me. Give a space and create another function. Name on click me.
Inside this function again.
Inside that same function where you are, just give a space and create another function. Name on click me.
Yes.
Click me on click me.
Okay. Okay.
Then inside the curly braces,
Okay.
you should define a
Set,
variable.
set test. I think is it the set test that thing you use the set name. Call the set name use state and pass in a variable inside it.
Yeah.
Something
Let
like
me
that.
what?
Set name.
Set name inside the set name, something like this.
Set name. Then you pass. Yeah.
Like say React.
Let me pass React.
String. Yeah. It's string React. Yeah.
Yes, pass React. Now inside the use state also
Yes,
we
I'm
pass our
listening.
our default test inside the use state, I think, which is file tag.
Yeah.
Yes, let's pass file tag inside that place.
File tag.
Yes. So inside this place, inside the header, you write a file tag, that hello file tag. We'll now change it to hello update name.
Where is that?
Do you get inside the header H1? Inside the H1.
Inside the H1. Put it
Yes.
in curly braces.
A curly braces. And now use update name. The update name we use in the use state.
That update name up there.
Yeah.
It's not a call. Yes.
A
That
curly
place
bracket.
now. I don't know if you are seeing the comment, but
I'm supposed to. The curly braces is supposed to give me two voice. No.
yes, yeah, there are one and two after your keyboard.
Press them individually.
They are pushing each other.
Sorry.
You can put them individually if they are not giving you the two automatically.
Okay.
The next one is beside it. Just the next button beside it.
Then let me put update name.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not working.
Click on our button. Let's see.
Now, no, not yet. We need to add on click function on the button.
Function.
On click.
Yes,
Yes.
on click. So inside the on-click, you now pass in a callback function inside it.
Okay.
Callback function.
Yes, equal to then
Because
greater than. Yeah,
Then what?
yeah,
you
then
now
put it
call the function.
on click me.
No,
Okay.
I think you need to put a curly braces before you call the function on click me.
Hmm.
Do you understand?
You said I should put what?
You should put a curly braces before you call the function.
Okay.
No, now you are doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing.
You are doing the right thing. I say you should add a curly brace, something like this. Let me put it in the comment section.
After the arrow function, add a curly braces, then put the on click me.
Okay. I understand. Like this.
Showing an error. And the vetted token in line 12.
Let's check it again.
Hey guys,
Or remove the
Okay,
braces.
see the
are you
thing,
guys
see
hearing
the
me?
thing.
Remove the
In the
curly
call
braces.
in on click.
Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, you are
Yes,
here.
sir.
Okay. Jethro. Yeah. So let's just clean this up and let's call it a day. So Jethro,
Sir?
have you learned something today?
Very well.
Very, very what?
Very well, sir.
You are part of my. You are the second name in my black book. I will be calling you.
No problem, sir.
I'll be calling you always. So now, Jethro, let's clean this up. Clean all of this. All your on click. Clean it. Clean all of it. Leave only the button. Leave only the button.
Okay.
So now, give a space and write on click. Always follow the autocomplete that you get. It helps you be faster, and it also helps you when you are not familiar with what you want to do. So if you do CLI, if you type CLI, no, ONCLI, continue your on then CLI. Now click on press enter. Good. So now you guys missed the equals to and the brackets. Now put normal brackets.
Okay.
Normal bracket opening and close. Not this one. The coil is the one that looks like 0. That is normal bracket. This one is array or something like that. Okay, now outside of it, put your equals to, then your greater than sign. Now call your on click. On click me. Yeah, now close, put the same parenthesis. It's called parenthesis. Exactly. Now save it. Now let's see, is that working? It worked, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jethro, Jethro, you are going to be my point of reference as we go on in this class. So now, on Thursday, you are going to repeat what you just did today and faster.
Okay, just this one.
No, don't worry. I will tell you what you do on that day. But what I want to see from you is a beat pace. Do you understand?
Okay.
So you can see you were spoon-fed today. Everybody was just holding your hand, cross the road, come down, go like this, go like this. Now, it is now left for you to go on your own and practice everything today. Go to your VS Code, install React, and go through everything we have done today. Go to ChatGPT. You were the one that referenced ChatGPT earlier now.
No.
When
But I will do that.
Exactly. So learn everything, and by Thursday we should continue from where we stop in the React hooks. I don't want
I'm
to
the
go
third.
further. You said
I'm the third person on your blacklist too. There are
you are the
people that will
second.
do. Sir?
You are the second on my blacklist. Gloria is one.
Noah is first. Gloria is second. I'm third.
No, Noah is my representative. Noah is going to teach the class when I'm not around.
Okay. Okay.
When I mean blacklist, I mean I got my eyes on you.
No problem, sir.
Okay, so that is where we're going to stop today. I should be heading home now, but I just hope everybody learned one or two from today.
Can you
Tali,
hear me? I want to ask something. While I was installing my React, I saw an option to install Byte and TypeScript, and those are the options I use. Will it affect me during the process of learning?
yes, and most especially TypeScript. If you are not familiar with TypeScript and how it works, you can get very, very confused, and it is going to actually confuse you. TypeScript is a whole, it's still the same thing, but it's something that is being used in larger web application. And hopefully, if there is time, we're going to talk about it as the course permits. But Stali, do not install TypeScript. You can use Vite, and you can go ahead to use JavaScript. But for now, don't, as a beginner level like this, do not install TypeScript until you are familiar with it, what it's
I
about.
already installed it. I already installed it. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, if you have already installed it, you can go ahead and use it, but just know that you are going to be getting some issues on some particular places because TypeScript, again, it's very, very strict. You must have to follow some patterns. If you are displaying, if you are using functions and you're passing parameters, you must define what the parameters are for. That is why I say TypeScript is a whole different thing that we might want to get into later, not for the beginning, not for day one class. But you can go ahead and use it, or you can install another one without the TypeScript. But just know that when you're using TypeScript, you are opting into a strict mode of development that requires you to follow a certain pattern. Yes, Chuku?
Okay, my question is, what's that development this the development playground that Jethro is using? What's the name of the site again?
Look at it at the top, codesandbox.io.
.io.
Codesandbox.io.
Okay.
Okay. Mrs. Eniola, my Python and Java mistress.
Yes, sir.
Were you part of the magic that Jethro and his team just performed?
I can see it, sir.
You can see it.
Yes, sir.
Can you do it on your own from scratch?
Yeah, I will try it, sir.
You said?
I will, sir. I will try it.
You what?
I will try it, sir.
I don't want you to try it. Do it and show it to me on Thursday. Thank you. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, ma. Okay, I think that is all for today. Yes, Yunus?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Regarding the assignment, do you have anyone for them, or should I come up with one? Because they are supposed to be assignment.
Yes, okay. Let me see what you can come up with. Come up with one. Let's see. Let me pack up because I'm heading home now.
Okay, I'm just thinking about they should just recreate something like this and make the output of the name more dynamic.
Okay, just go ahead and give them the assignment. So on
Yeah,
Thursday
I will drop the assignment on the Discord channel, so it will be something like this that you guys build now. So if anyone is having issue with it, you can reach out to Jethro and his guys to put you through. But I would
Let me go and learn now.
I will drop it on the Discord channel so that you guys can do it. But the only difference about the assignment is that the output will be more dynamic. So that is probably what you have to go and do your research and learn about before the next class. How to make the names more dynamic like to change it from this or go back to the like to start naming from like Yunus, and the other name should be like Jethro. So when I click a button, it should change from either Yunus or Jethro. Every time I click on the button, it won't be that. It won't be like once I click, it will be a single name and it won't change again. So that is what I'm saying about dynamic. So the name will keep
Good,
changing.
good. I second that assignment. So the draft the assignment and send it to them on the Discord. I don't think I'm part of the Discord, but just send it to them. Explain to them what they are meant to do. And Jethro, you have a guide already on how to do that. What he's just saying is that when you click me multiple times, it will be swapping between Phytech and React,
Yeah.
and also maybe more names. But he's going to explain the assignment to you guys in depth. Yes, Tali. Tali, are you there?
So okay, so I will drop the assignment in like an hour. I'm trying to pack up now. So once I reach home, I will drop the assignment.
All
Plus
right,
the
that is
videos, Yunus.
that is perfect. So that is good. So welcome everyone to React, and hopefully we'll catch up on Thursday. Yeah.
Thank you. Take care. Have a nice night.
All right, you guys. Good night.